Let's work through a road grading example together. Here we have our site plan. All right, we've got an existing road down here at the bottom, and the contour interval is 1 as we move up the hill to a finished elevation of a flat pad right here at 6.5. All right. The question is, how can we grade a road just to go straight between the street and our flat pad, all right? And our road is going to be 20 feet wide, so it'll look about like that. If you measure the length of the road, it's going to be 100 feet long. Our first step should be to take a look at the slope of this existing grade. All right, this should be pretty familiar to you by now. We're going to use the S equals V over H formula and find that that existing grade is 5.5%. Why did we find this slope? It's because we wanted to double check that this road was actually buildable. All right, 5.5%, that is an acceptable grade for a road. All right, so this road is buildable. If the existing slope was too high, it would not be buildable. All right, remember for this class, we're going to assume that all roads must be less than 10% slope. So our next step, now that we kind of have a layout, all right, is to place modified contour lines on our plan in order to create a uniform slope. All right, those contour lines are going to be equally spaced, and that's going to create our uniform slope. All right. There's two ways to do this, graphically and calculation. Let's look at the graphic example first. All right. So you're going to count your contour line intervals, all right, and there are 5.5 of them, and they go like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a half. The half comes from the vertical distance between contour line 6 and that finished elevation of 6.5. Now you can do this manually too, but it's easier in AutoCAD. All right. You will draw a guideline the length of your road. All right. I typically like to pull my guideline just kind of off the drawing. It makes it a little easier for me, but you could actually draw it in here if you like. All right. And then you're going to use the divide command to divide this into those 5.5 equal intervals. How do you divide into 5.5 equal intervals? The easiest way is to multiply that by 2. You get 11 intervals. All right. You can divide into 11 equal intervals and then just delete the ones that you don't need. Once you have those points in AutoCAD, all right, you're going to draw some guidelines down across your road. All right, they are equally spaced. And once you trim them on either side, these will be your new modified contours across your road. You can do this by calculation as well. The distance between your new modified contours is going to equal the contour interval, in this case it's 1, times the total horizontal distance of your road, all right, in this case it's 100 feet, divided by the total vertical distance that you need to travel. In this case, it's 5.5 feet. All right. You can see that that gives us a distance between contours of 18.18 feet. All right, so that's going to be 18.18, 18 and change here and here and here. And then the final distance is going to be half of that. All right, because it's only going up half a contour interval, and that'll be 9.9 feet. Let's take a look at your new modified contours and look how beautifully evenly spaced they are. All right, in comparison to the natural contours. All right, but we're not done yet. The final step for each modified contour is to connect it back up to the existing contour that it kind of goes along with. All right, and this can be done by calculating the 1 in 3 slope. All right, for this class, we're going to skip that part. I'm just going to ask you to make a reasonable connection by eye. And so it's going to look like something like this. Let's take a look at contour 5. All right, your natural contour will come along. You will match it up and connect to your new modified contour. All right, and then connect back up and meet the grade right here, and continue along across your site. All right. Remember, every contour needs to be continuous across a site. All right. Finish this drawing up by dimensioning, all right, the distance between each contour right here. Let's zoom in and take a closer look at our example here. All right, and notice, here's our new modified contour. They are drawn in solid lines where the existing ones are drawn in dashed lines. Each contour is continuous across the site. Here's one as it goes all the way across the site. All right. Our new modified contours are spaced evenly. That's what gives us that uniform slope. Right? And cut and fill are being used to create that slope. All right, so notice that down here we're using fill, and you can tell because the new modified contours are downhill of the existing contour. All right, whereas on the uphill side of our road, it looks like we're using cut, all right, because the new modified contours are uphill of our existing contour line.